What's the strongest ship in the fleet? And I know fleets. Friendship. Scene Snobs, you guys are great.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Scene Snobs Review This. Let's talk about Renfield, the new movie that came out. Of course, if you're not really sure who Renfield is, maybe you don't know Dracula as well in the lore and Bram Stoker's. Renfield is the real estate agent that goes to Dracula to try to sell him on lands in Britain, and he winds up becoming his familiar, or sort of like his slave in some ways, where he's controlled by him and he does all of his bidding, especially during the daylight time. Renfield, this movie, tells a story of present day. Now they've been living long lives, so to speak, as much as a vampire and a familiar can. But they've been living long lives, doing the same things over and over again. Of course, Renfield getting bodies. He's just trying to do the best he can. But from this point of view, we are seeing Renfield as in himself trying to be more than what we're getting. So it follows his journey of, trying to self-discover and trying to get away from out from under Dracula's thumb. It's a very cool premise. I really liked going into it. I thought it'd be a fun horror comedy as I saw the trailers for it and such. And as we go on, I'll kind of talk about it a little bit more. Of course, these are non-spoiler and spoiler reviews, but I'm going to tell you there's not too much to spoil in this one. It's very straightforward. A lot of what you see in the trailer is what you're going to get. Other than, maybe some crazy absurd deaths. There's a lot of absurdity in this movie, which we, of course, love here at Scene Snobs. So watching this, story-wise, it is not far off from what you can tell as we're going on in the, as we talk about it, in the trailers and things like that, or if you read about it. So Renfield, of course, is out there. When he eats bugs, he can draw their life energy, and it gives him almost super strength and superpowers, fast, everything. Going into it, it's like some of Dracula's powers that he's getting. So before I get into my review and what I thought of this film and kind of what you see going throughout, I do want to talk about the lore of Dracula going into this and not knowing really what to expect, because Renfield is an important character to that storyline, but he never seemed like too much of an important character within the story of Dracula, Bram Stoker's Dracula in the book or in the movies and such. It would seem like sort of a side character. He always seemed like he was sort of the proponent to get him from here to there over in England. And also he was the character where the suspension of disbelief comes in. It's like, well, how does Dracula survive through the night? How can he or survive through the day? Or, how does he survive so long doing these things? Well, now we see. And a lot of what we get from the familiar lore as well in vampires and movies and TVs and books, comics, and everything comes from Renfield. So it's kind of cool that they made a movie that focused on him. Another really cool thing they did was it focused on mental health, and they focused on a lot of issues that we see that affect our mental health and affect our lives very much. The codependency, the narcissism, they deal with that very heavily. It's very self-aware in that way. And just, kind of the relationship, the toxic relationships that you can have. So I really dug that they took that angle to it. Something different in a world where mental health is becoming more to the forefront, to be able to tell a horror comedy and still have those elements in it and still kind of teach you some things. You learn about gaslighting in this. You learn about a lot about this different things. So I thought that was very cool. Awkwafina, of course, plays a police officer who is trying to take down a crime family within the city of New Orleans where she lives, where the cops, it seems like every cop besides her is corrupt. So it's a little odd, that she's fighting everything, it seems, as we go through, and Renfield is there to help her along the way. A lot of this movie is very unbelievable. There's a lot of suspension of disbelief that you have to do. But for horror fans, it's not way off. For horror fans, I think that really works, and you can do that. It's a loose sort of premise, but I don't think it's bad. It's more to play up the idea of the ultra violence and the gore to it. And that's some things I really want to talk about here too. The gore effects, the visual effects were very good. The gore effects, they were cool. Not over the top, too crazy, but some really cool stuff, and mixed with a lot of really awesome practical effects. The makeup that Nicolas Cage is wearing throughout, all different stages that he goes through. Very cool stuff. I really like how they did it, and it's all practical. That was a lot of fun. But also the visual effects that step in and these computer graphic effects were awesome too. Like, they really played a great part into it, and like to see him change into the bats or the smoke or some other elements that happen. I really liked it. Now, Chris McKay, who directed this, also directed the Lego Batman movie and a couple of others. I definitely get that self-aware type vibe that he's going for. Robert Kirkman helped write this movie. He wrote the story. And Robert Kirkman, of course, famous for many things, especially comic books. He invented, the Walking Dead and quite a few more. So, for him to step in and kind of tell this story, I thought was right up his alley. I will say that I didn't love every decision that they made, because they made a lot of camera decisions, a lot of visual effects decisions that when you're looking at it, it's like, to me, it comes off hokey, but it's not that it's bad. It almost seems like it's experimental in a lot of ways, like certain shots and things like that. And I can respect that. If I don't gravitate or it doesn't like pull me in, as long as like I can understand that it's experimental and you're really trying something different, I respect it. I like that a lot. And, that gives a lot of points for me. So story is very thin here. When Dracula's not Nicolas Cage is great as Dracula. In fact, well, I'll get into the Bela Lugosi stuff in a second, but in fact, when he's not on screen, the story suffers quite a bit. Like, you tend not to really like, as much as you like Nicholas Hoult as Renfield, and I think he's great, and I love his transformation in it, and I really like that. But when the focus is off of Dracula and what he's trying to do, it does tend to get a little boring and a little drawn out. It is only an hour and a half movie, which is nice this year finally to see a movie in the movie theater that's only an hour and a half. But it didn't feel like it sped by. It just felt like it kind of flowed, but there were elements where I was just like, all right, I didn't love the cop element. I didn't love the crime family element, but I understood why they were there. I think a lot of that took the focus away from Renfield and him kind of standing up to his boss, which seems like the whole point. And it is kind of a neat, tidy little ending at the conclusion. But performance-wise, Nicolas Hoult did a very good job. Really liked him. Nicolas Cage, of course, kills it as always. I love Nicolas Cage, and he was great as Dracula. There was quite a few characters. Ben Schwartz did a great job in this movie. Ben Schwartz played the son of the woman who runs the crime family. And she, of course, I know I'm going to butcher her name, and I'm sorry for this, but Shori Agdashlu is her name, and she was on The Expanse and so many other things, 24, things like that. She's a fantastic actor, and I love watching her when she's on screen. And she chews up in this movie. She's on in very, very small amounts, but she does such a great job when she's on there, and I really liked her on it. Ben Schwartz it was really a lot of fun. I really like Ben Schwartz's character in this, even though it's very hokey. It's very like one-dimensional type of bad guy character, but I really liked how he played it. He brought a lot of his personality into it, and that played well. After this movie, walking away from it, do I need any more? Probably not. I really don't know that I'd need a return to Renfield. Is it left open? Of course, everything gets left open, as we know. But ultimately, I did like it. I would watch this again. It's a good little horror comedy. Like I said, some really fun stuff. I can, of course, suspend disbelief on why every vampire or familiar knows martial arts, because I'm a fan of Buffy the Vampire Slayer and other movies and shows like that. And if they can do it, anybody can do it. So it was that type of fun element to it. But I really liked it. Good cinematography, but the makeup effects, the costuming, the practical effects, all those teams all deserve the credit on this. This is just fantastic. Directing wise, I mean, you have great actors stepping into the roles here. But I will say one thing that I loved is they incorporated it into the Lugosi storyline, and from Dracula in 1931, and it was just really well done how they did it. They revisited the sets. So you can't really tell by this poster here, but when you look at Nick Cage on set and the way they light his face, to do a lot of slash across the eyes lighting and stuff, which I always loved from the old days. He does such a wonderful job in it, and he pulls it off really well. And I like that. I like that a lot, that they tied it in to Lugosi, and he looks so much like him. It's funny when you look at him in this poster or on set photos, you're like, why does Nicolas Cage look like John Travolta dressed as Dracula? That's all I saw while I was watching this filming. But when I watched the movie, I was like, wow, he does have a Bela Lugosi look, and I like it. And it's Bela Lugosi's turn as Dracula, but with a twist of what Nick Cage brings to it. I dug that a lot. I really thought that was cool. So overall, I'm going to give my rating to this. My rating to this movie is, of course, a 3 out of 5 mics. Now, why do I give it 3 out of 5? Okay, so if you took the practical effects, if you took the visual effects, and you took the the main performances out of this, and I'm talking mostly about Nicholas Hoult and Nicolas Cage, it would probably be a 2, maybe a 2.5. But all of those elements into it, and a lot of the experimental shots that they were doing and things like that, like stuff that just didn't seem like it fit, but it was cool that they tried it. A lot of those things really bumped this up to a 3 for me. I think horror fans will really enjoy watching this. It's a fun little horror comedy. Just try and go into it with more of an open mind of like story and things like that. So I say go check out Renfield. Maybe you don't check it out in theaters. You could probably wait till it's streaming, but if you are looking for like a horror type of movie, you don't mind gore, and you definitely dig on practical effects, I would say go see this movie. It's a fun time. So yeah, that's it. My rating for this is a 3. Like I said, there's not many spoilers to really go with. I usually put that up so when I'm talking about something that has a lot of heavy spoilers and I want to get into those scenes, that's why it's there. None really. Of course, we do these live, so then that way anybody who's watching live can chime in. It doesn't look like anybody's on tonight, but I want to say thank you guys for watching this at a later time. I'm Mick Manhattan from the Scene Snobs. You can check me out on the Scene Snobs podcast every Tuesday night live at 9 p.m. or the Snob Nation morning live show every Friday morning from 7 to 10 a.m. Tomorrow, if you're watching this tonight or before Friday, the April 14th, we are doing a charity event. Hopefully you guys can join in. We're raising money for the Multiple Sclerosis Association of America. It starts at 7 a.m. We're doing a 16-hour live stream event on our YouTube channel. The GoFundMe is now open. You can go check it out. It's pinned to all of our social media. It's on our link tree. It's on our website. Go check it out. Donate. It's for a great cause. Share it out, please. We'd love to get the word out there even more. But yeah, if you're doing that, if not, you can always go back and take a look at it on our YouTube channel. Make sure to hit subscribe, hit like. Appreciate you. But yeah, so thanks you guys again for watching. I'm Mick Manhattan, the Scene Snob, and I will talk to you guys very, very soon. Take care.